Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered when the spark began to fade? When did energy turn into exhaustion and closeness become something you remembered instead of something you felt? If you're over 60, you may have been told that slowing down is simply part of aging, that fatigue, weaker circulation, and fading intimacy are all things to quietly accept. But what if that isn't the whole story? What if your body still holds the capacity to feel alive, connected, and deeply fulfilled, not in spite of your age, but because of it? I'm Dr. James, and after over 30 years of working with older adults, I've seen something remarkable: the quiet return of vitality through simple, natural choices, not pills, not painful procedures, but real, whole foods, the kind you might already have in your kitchen. In this video, I'm going to share with you 4 powerful fruits that do more than nourish your body. They awaken it, supporting circulation, balancing hormones, and gently reigniting the connection between you and the one you love. If you've been longing to feel more energetic, more present, more you're in the right place. Stay with me. What you're about to hear could change how you experience this beautiful chapter of life. And if something in you is already saying, "I'm ready," go ahead and tap subscribe so you don't miss a single moment of what's to come. Let's begin. 1. Red grapes, the flow restore. When I first started listening more closely to my older patients, not just their symptoms, but their stories, I began noticing a quiet truth echoing again and again. Healing doesn't always come from a bottle. Sometimes it comes from something as simple, as ordinary, as a handful of red grapes. Yes, red grapes. Not an expensive treatment or rare herbal cure, but a fruit most of us have walked past in the grocery store 1,000 times without a second thought. These small, deep purple gems carry inside them a powerful secret: resveratrol, a natural antioxidant that quietly works wonders within your blood vessels. It helps them relax and expand, improving circulation in ways many people over 60 didn't think was still possible. That means more oxygen-rich blood reaching your brain, your heart, your muscles, and yes, even your most intimate places. You see, as we age, circulation tends to slow, particularly in the lower half of our bodies. Maybe you've noticed your feet getting colder or a lack of energy during the day. Maybe intimacy no longer feels like it once did, more distant, less alive. These aren't just signs of aging, they're signals that blood is no longer flowing the way it used to. And when blood doesn't flow, neither does energy, warmth, or connection. But red grapes help bring that back. For older men, resveratrol in red grapes can improve blood vessel function and enhance the body's natural production of nitric oxide, a critical component in achieving and maintaining erections. Unlike medications that force quick results with side effects, grapes work with your body, supporting its natural rhythms gently, gradually, and safely. Many men over 60 have quietly transformed their intimate lives simply by making red grapes a daily habit. And for women, red grapes have their own kind of magic. As estrogen declines with age, many women experience reduced blood flow and sensitivity in the pelvic region, which can lead to discomfort or even emotional disconnection during intimacy. But improving circulation doesn't just restore function, it rekindles feeling. Women who eat red grapes regularly report greater warmth, better responsiveness, and a renewed sense of emotional closeness during intimate moments. It's not just about restoring the body, it's about bringing back the beauty of connection. What truly amazes me is how something so simple can bring back what many thought was gone forever. I've seen it with my own eyes: older couples returning to my office months later, surprised and smiling. "It was just a bowl of grapes," they say, "but we feel more alive again." And I always nod, because it's not a miracle. It's nature doing what it's always done quietly, offering us tools for healing, if we're only willing to look. So the next time you pass by that produce section, don't underestimate the power of what lies in that little red cluster. Grab some grapes, make them part of your routine, and give your body the gentle help it may be quietly asking for. You don't need to fight aging, you just need to support life in the places where it's trying to fade. And if you think that's powerful, wait until you hear what fruit number 2 can do, not just for your circulation, but for your kidneys, your blood sugar, and your emotional vitality. Shall we keep going? 2. Cranberries, the kidney guardian. I used to think cranberries were nothing more than a festive side dish, something tart and bright that appeared once a year on the Thanksgiving table and then disappeared from thought. But that changed the more I spoke with my older patients, those who still carried a glow in their cheeks, a spring in their step, and a certain spark when they spoke about their partners again and again. This tiny fruit surfaced in their stories, quietly, almost humbly. And it made me pause. Could something so overlooked carry that much power? So I did what any curious mind does. I started digging deeper, and what I found surprised even me. Cranberries, it turns out, are more than just a seasonal garnish. They are potent healers, especially when it comes to protecting the kidneys and the entire urinary system. Two areas that, though rarely discussed in polite conversation, have a profound influence on how we feel, how we move, and how we connect in later life. You see, when kidney function begins to decline, and it often does after 60, the effects are quiet but far-reaching. Toxins that were once easily filtered begin to build up. Inflammation sets in, circulation weakens, especially in delicate areas like the pelvis. And with that decline, you may start to feel a loss of energy, lowered desire, or that disheartening sense that closeness just isn't what it used to be. Many chalk it up to age. But what if it didn't have to be that way? This is where cranberries quietly step in as protectors, as restorers. Rich in proanthocyanidins and other powerful anti-inflammatory compounds, cranberries help cleanse the urinary tract, ease irritation, and keep the blood vessels surrounding the pelvic area healthy and open. That means better blood flow, more sensation, and fewer infections. For men, this translates to improved erection quality and stamina, not because of a quick-fix drug, but because the kidneys and circulation are finally being supported in the way nature intended. For women, the changes are just as meaningful: less discomfort, reduced dryness, and a growing ease and confidence during moments of intimacy. One woman, a 72-year-old widow named Helen, told me she had nearly given up on feeling connected again. After battling recurring UTIs and a general sense of unease in her body, she found herself avoiding closeness, not out of lack of desire, but because discomfort made everything feel burdensome. A simple change, a daily glass of unsweetened cranberry juice and a small bowl of dried cranberries helped turn things around. Not overnight, but gently, steadily. Within a month, she told me she felt clearer, lighter, more willing to reach out and be touched. And that, she said with a soft smile, was something she hadn't expected to feel again. That's the gift of cranberries. They don't just work on the body, they restore confidence. They give people the freedom to engage, to be present in their own skin without fear of discomfort or disconnection. Because when you take pain and pressure out of the equation, intimacy becomes natural again, not just the physical kind, but the emotional warmth that binds us together. So whether you're sprinkling a handful of cranberries over your morning oatmeal, sipping a glass of juice with no added sugar, or simply making them a small, daily ritual, know this: you're not just nourishing your kidneys, you're feeding your vitality. You're saying yes to more comfort, more confidence, and more connection. And speaking of connection, imagine if there was a fruit that didn't just protect what's already there, but actually reignited something deeper. A fruit that could stir energy, support testosterone, and make your body remember what it still longs to express. That's what's waiting in the next part of our journey. Let's continue. 3. Papaya, the energy awakener. There's something about papaya that feels like a soft morning light warming your face after a long winter. Maybe it's the way its golden orange flesh practically glows in your hand, or how its gentle sweetness melts on the tongue like a memory of youth. But what many people over 60 don't realize is that this tropical fruit carries far more than flavor. It holds the quiet power to reawaken energy, desire, and connection. I remember an older gentleman, Harold, a retired school principal in his late 70s, who came to me with a look of quiet defeat. He was doing all the right things, eating healthy, walking each day, sleeping early, and yet he felt drained. His body was sluggish, his sleep broken, and intimacy with his beloved wife had faded into something they both missed but rarely mentioned aloud. "I just don't feel like myself anymore," he said. It wasn't sadness in his eyes. It was longing for energy, for closeness, for life. That's when I suggested something simple. Not a prescription, not a therapy, just papaya. 1 cup every morning, blended with a spoonful of Greek yogurt. No promises, no pressure, just a shift. 2 weeks later, Harold came back, standing straighter, smiling more freely. He chuckled as he shared that his wife had asked if he'd started taking something new. And, in a way, he had something sweet, natural, and full of light. Papaya is rich in vitamins A, C, and E, known allies in supporting skin, immunity, and healing. But its real magic for aging bodies lies deeper. It contains an enzyme called papain that helps break down proteins, easing digestion and reducing inflammation. And when your gut feels better, everything does. But what truly sets papaya apart is its gentle yet profound impact on hormone balance and circulation. For older men, it supports natural testosterone production and improves blood vessel elasticity. Two things that quietly shape vitality, mood, and physical responsiveness. It's not a jolt like caffeine or a synthetic drug. It's more like kindling a low-burning fire that gradually fills the whole room with warmth. And for women, papaya works just as gently and powerfully. It supports estrogen balance and improves blood flow to the pelvic region, often reducing dryness and making intimacy feel more natural, more enjoyable. It also nourishes the adrenal glands, the quiet engines behind how we handle stress and fatigue, making space for emotional connection without tension pulling us away. It's about feeling more at ease in your own body, which makes it easier to open up to someone else. What I love most is how accessible papaya is. No complicated routines, no fancy recipes, just a spoon, a bowl, and a few minutes of quiet nourishment each day. It's a small act of self-care that ripples outward into energy, confidence, and often a renewed sense of closeness with your partner. Papaya doesn't shout, it whispers, but those whispers bring change. So, if you've been searching for a way to feel more alive, not just in your body, but in your spirit, consider this humble fruit. It won't turn back time, but it might remind you of what it feels like to be fully present again, in both energy and emotion. And just when you think fruit has offered all it can, energy, circulation, intimacy, there's one more waiting, a fruit that soothes your heart, balances your hormones, and even helps you sleep deeper and love more fully. It's time we talk about cherries. 4. Cherries, the intimacy booster. There's a quiet kind of magic in a bowl of cherries. Maybe it's the way their deep, velvety red skin catches the light, or the way each bite gently asks you to slow down and savor. Cherries aren't rushed. You eat them one at a time, feeling the moment, enjoying the sweetness, the slight tartness, the pause. And just like that, without even realizing it, you're present in your body, in your breath, in your day. That alone is healing. But what cherries do inside you? That's where the real beauty lies. I once worked with a couple, James and Eleanor, both in their late 60s, married for over 4 decades. They were soft-spoken, kind, and full of respect for one another. But when they sat down with me, there was something tender in their eyes, a kind of longing, not just for physical closeness, but for the warmth and ease they used to share. James quietly admitted he no longer felt connected to his body. He felt sluggish, frustrated, even a little ashamed. Eleanor, with grace and patience, said she missed their intimacy too, but she didn't want him to feel pressured. They still loved each other deeply. They just didn't know how to bridge the quiet space that had grown between them. We talked, not about pills or prescriptions, but about nourishment, about healing from the inside out. And I mentioned cherries. Yes, simple, ordinary cherries. Based on research I'd seen and experiences I'd gathered, I suggested they try eating cherries regularly, a small bowl in the evening, just a few times a week. It sounded too simple, but they were open. 2 months later, they returned. But something was different. They walked in holding hands, smiling in a way that felt lighter, more playful. They laughed easily. James said, "We didn't expect much, but we feel like ourselves again." And I knew exactly why. Cherries are rich in anthocyanins, potent antioxidants, that soothe inflammation in the arteries and support nitric oxide production, which in turn relaxes blood vessels and improves circulation. This isn't just about heart health or brain clarity, though it helps with both. It's also about restoring the very flow of life to areas that are essential for sexual arousal, sensitivity, and emotional connection. For older men, this often means improved blood flow to the penis, leading to firmer, more lasting erections without the side effects of medication. For women, better circulation in the pelvic area can ease discomfort, reduce dryness, and bring back a sense of physical joy that may have felt distant for years. But what makes cherries even more special is what they do for the mind. They contain natural melatonin, a hormone that promotes restful, restorative sleep. And when sleep improves, everything else begins to shift. Hormones rebalance, stress softens, the emotional wall between you and your partner lowers, making space for warmth to return. These aren't sudden, dramatic changes. They're quiet, steady, like a light gradually filling a room. I've seen cherries rebuild bridges between people who thought the distance was permanent. I've seen them restore confidence, not just in the body, but in the ability to connect, to feel, to want again. And in a world that often tells older adults to accept decline, to settle for less, I think that's something worth celebrating. What's beautiful about this journey is that it doesn't demand perfection. You don't need to overhaul your life or chase some impossible goal. You just need to begin one small choice at a time. Maybe that means keeping a bowl of red grapes on the counter. Maybe it means sprinkling cranberries into your salad, slicing papaya into your morning yogurt, or keeping a handful of cherries in the fridge to enjoy as the sun goes down. What matters is the message these choices send to your body that you still care, that you're still listening, that you still believe in your right to feel good, to feel connected, and to feel love both given and received. Over time, you may begin to notice changes. A little more energy, a little more laughter, a hand held longer than usual, sleep that wraps around you like a blanket, or a sense of closeness that surprises you in the best way. These aren't accidents. They're the result of consistency, of kindness to your body, of trust in the small things. And here's what I want you to remember. It's never too late. Not for energy, not for desire, not for intimacy. I've met people in their 70s and 80s who told me they thought that chapter was closed, only to discover that, with the right nourishment, a new one was just beginning. So today, I invite you to see cherries differently, to see them not just as a fruit, but as a gentle guide back to yourself, a reminder that even in this season of life, your body still wants to thrive, your heart still wants to open, your story still has so much left to write. You've learned about 4 powerful fruits, 4 quiet allies in your journey toward better circulation, deeper sleep, brighter energy, and more fulfilling intimacy. The next step, it's yours. Choose one, begin there. You don't need to do it all. You just need to begin. And I'll be here, quietly cheering you on, as you return to the life, the love, and the vitality that has always been yours to reclaim. Final thoughts. There comes a time in life when we begin to quietly accept less energy, less intimacy, less connection, not because we want to, but because we're told it's just part of aging. But let me remind you of something simple and powerful. That narrative isn't the truth. You are not done growing. You are not past your prime. And your body, that remarkable, resilient body, has not stopped believing in you. What we've explored together today may sound small, 4 fruits, but they represent something far greater, a quiet act of self-care, a gentle nudge to the body that says, I still want to feel alive. These aren't just nutritional choices. They're daily rituals that whisper to your blood, your heart, your hormones, and your soul, reminding them of the rhythms they once knew and can know again. Think about everything your body has carried you through, years of hard work, raising children, caring for others, weathering grief, celebrating joy. Through all of it, your heart kept beating, your blood kept flowing. You showed up again and again. And now, in this season of life, when you finally have space to reconnect, to reflect, and to love without rush, your body deserves support, not surrender. Red grapes, cranberries, papaya, cherries. These aren't miracles. They're companions. They work quietly, nourishing the tiny vessels that matter most, the delicate balance of hormones, and the emotional memory of what closeness once felt like. And as they do, something begins to return, a spark, a pulse, a sense of comfort in your skin. I hope what you take away isn't just which fruits to eat, but why you're eating them. To feel warmth in your fingertips again, to fall asleep with ease, to wake up with purpose, to share a glance or a touch and feel something stir that you thought time had taken away. Because aging doesn't just bring loss, it brings depth, it brings clarity, it teaches us to cherish what matters. And when the body is supported, the heart has room to love more deeply, laugh more freely, and live more fully. So if tomorrow, all you do is reach for a few cherries before bed, or drop some red grapes in your lunch bag, know that you are choosing more than fruit. You are choosing yourself, your joy, your connection, your life. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What touched your heart today? What will you take with you into tomorrow? Share your thoughts below with just 2 or 3 words. Maybe something like feeling hopeful or starting today. Your words might just inspire someone else to begin, too. And if you'd like to keep walking this path with us, gently tap the subscribe button. It's a small way to stay connected to more insights, stories, and support crafted just for you. Remember this, it's not too late, not to feel better, not to feel closer, not to feel alive. This may be the beginning of a beautiful new chapter, and I can't wait to explore the next one with you.